Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is a time machine episode. We've gone back to April 26th, 2024. It's season 3, episode 117. Be sure to come and check us out over on Twitch, twitch.tv/ohmTown. Go over to youtube.com/ohmTown. Download the podcast. We have a bunch of shorts over on YouTube because Twitch is probably, not Twitch, but TikTok is probably going to be, who knows? But we've got all 10 articles already on deck. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about not quite delivery orders, Plummet, and surviving Alaska Airlines, Autopilot and the Regulator, dealership and the customer, Purrfect Packaging. Want a zombie invasion? This is how you get a zombie invasion. Bird flu species spread, which could be zombie invasion. Not even the slide wants to fly Delta. Hubble in safe mode, and craft brewing could be worse. That and, well, we've got to get through this episode quick because our time machine can overheat, and if it does, we're lost in time forever. And
Can't have that.
And we won't know when we'll get back. Hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and up there and all around is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
It is evening. Oh, okay. The sentient AI from the future knows what time it is, but I don't. Okay, so because it is a time machine episode, all of our context is going to be slightly different. We have more information than may be available at the particular time that the article was discovered, but let's get into it anyway. I'm not going to do transitions anymore. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. $20 minimum wage backfires as restaurants see orders plummet. This headline actually irritated me because I saw it before we became a time machine episode, right? So I had actually looked into this before doing today's show. So like I said, we have more information than normal. So our context might be a little different than if you're seeing this for the first time in the natural timeline of things. You know, temporology, the study, the science of time and time travel, it's kind of tough. It's messy.
If the viewers are going in the time machine as well.
In a way, I mean, you know, if they see this now instead of then the then is now and now is later because, my head's starting to hurt. Okay, let's just talk about the article. Want to know why it irritated me? Because the Newsweek article written by Suzanne Blake says the law calling for a $20 minimum wage has led to brutal backlash as customers opt out of ordering delivery in Seattle, Washington. It's ordering delivery, but this is why they're backing out, because it's costing more on top of the delivery fee, even more so, and people are being ordered to, the delivery people are going to a different location to get the food to keep it at a lower cost to the gig service that's providing the $20 minimum wage. Because outside of a certain region, they can pay less than the minimum wage. Remember the article that we talked about previously?
That's right.
So this is slightly different there, but they're saying that it's customers are opting out of ordering delivery, but it isn't because of the $20 minimum wage. It's because the gig service is saying go over there to get it, not over there.
And oh, by the way, all the inflation on everything else, could that have anything to do with reduced delivery orders? Yes.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So the Pay Up law enforced a minimum wage for gig workers, which includes delivery drivers for local restaurants and platforms like Uber Eats and DoorDash. Under Pay Up, delivery drivers made $26 per hour before accounting for mileage and tips. Under the new proposal, gig workers were provided a minimum of $20, which is Seattle's minimum wage, plus a per mile minimum payment of 35 cents. However, the rule has many worried gig workers would go without a living wage. But the reality is that it isn't about the gig workers. It's about the fact that instead of the gig economy and the restaurants saying, okay, I guess our overall margin needs to decrease, so everybody who's providing a service that brings food to human beings is going to get a livable wage, and they're not going to have to suffer as if they're a 15-year-old being supported by their parents. Yet that's exactly what these bigger corporations and even smaller businesses have to suffer through, because they want profits that are irrationally high. And I will argue this until the cows come home. Show me your books and how you are benefiting from the gig worker delivering your food instead of hiring somebody and promoting your restaurant and bringing people into your restaurant. And I'll tell you how you're exploiting a semi-employee by paying them less than minimum wage with the expectation of performance and profit on your side. Really, your margin, because you lean into these gig workers, should be minuscule. And if you don't like it, don't subscribe to the gig worker.
I mean, there's bigger problems with this whole thing that are not related to wages, right? I mean, we've talked to restaurant owners who say they're getting a huge cut taken out of it from some of these larger delivery services, not necessarily local ones, but
Right.
I don't know. There's just a lot of issues with this. And at some point, like if the food costs whatever, $10, it's like the order is coming out to like $30 or something, which, you know, it's like, where's all that money going? And it's not necessarily going to the driver.
It's not going to the driver, and there's an expectation of a tip on top of it. But it's a matter of convenience, and some people, yeah, they're willing to hit that friction point. They're willing to go past a certain bulk rate. They're willing to pay that fee because of the convenience, but that's not everybody, and that is a burden that everybody has to bear when the accounting actually forces the hand of the people who are exploiting the gig worker. Did the gig workers say, hey, we want a pay rate that's commensurate with the service we're providing? Yeah. Did everybody speak up and support the $20 minimum wage? More than likely. The ones that don't are the ones that were exploiting the gig workers. That's because their margin is now smaller. Well, deal with it. A human being deserves to be paid for what they're doing. And I've had this conversation already with business owners that actually utilize gig workers. Well, they're doing it voluntarily. No, they're doing it because it's the last ditch effort that they have to make some kind of money in an ecosystem that allows them to live their life, go to school, have a side gig, actually do something else with their life instead of working 9 to 5 plus an hour or two on each end for travel. You know, they're doing this at a certain rate, but it should be at parity with what you would be paying somebody in your restaurant, because they're doing the same damn thing, even harder, because they're driving their car. It's got wear and tear. They have to manage their own taxes. They have to get their own insurance. They have to manage their own vehicle. They have to know what the hell they're doing, driving around. Some of them abuse the system. But my whole point at this is that I think that people are exploiting the working class because they have the power over the people who need a job versus, well, I'll pick and choose where I work. And that's getting fewer and fewer and far between. Now you have to get, some places say, oh, you don't need a degree or whatever, but you actually have to have knowledge, skills, and abilities and a tech savvy existence to get a job nowadays. Not everybody, has that facility afforded them. So honestly, For me, if I get less delivered food to ohmTown, that's fine. You know what? I'll suffer and I'll go into a restaurant if I want to do something. At least there, I know there's a salary or a wage that's being delivered. I'm handing somebody a tip. There's no wear and tear on their car. They're not driving around in the dead of night. Sometimes, poor weather, etc.
Right. I mean, it seems like it's simpler to either go and cheaper for customers to eat at the restaurant or to pick it up themselves.
Yeah, and at the rate things are going right now, I'd say I should put my Factor thing up and go, you know what? Subscribe to Factor. It's cheaper than going out. It's cheaper than doing delivery. It's very healthy. It's pre-made, never frozen, 2 minutes in the freezer or in the microwave and you're done. Easy cleanup, all recyclable, measured out, 400 to 600 calories, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, meatitarian. No, they've got a bunch of stuff. And I know that was pretty brutal to say, but anyway, I just think that, and I've spent an inordinate amount of time on this article, but this is not this. Okay. The headline is not correct. $20 minimum wage backfires as restaurants see orders plummet.
It's misleading. Like the two things may be happening, but they're not necessarily linked together.
Right. Yeah. It's more along the lines of, okay, we can no longer exploit gig workers, and to actually have them have equality, people aren't willing to pay more for that food and the service. So you know what you all need to do, right? Either charge less so people order more, or you take a smaller cut so that the workers get paid.
We can't have that.
Can't have that. You're going to have to lower your prices and make it economically sound for the people who are going to utilize these gig workers. Because if it's a $30 meal.
I mean, I know an area where they could reduce some prices, although it may not directly relate to delivery orders. Think about the markup on beverages.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. But everybody has to drink, right? You got to drink that Pepsi. Got to drink that Coke. Oh, now I just...
Yeah, but when you can buy like a whole box of the item for blank less than a drink, there's something wrong.
Yeah, just drink water. Let's keep going, though. Like, seriously, time machine is tick, 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 tick. All right, folks, the next article is over in Smack Talk. It's about Mac, but it's actually Apple. This whole show, Smack Talk, is all about Apple, but it hasn't launched yet. We'll get into that as time goes on. But this article is housed in that. That's where it got aggregated to, into the channel, Smack Talk, over at ohmTown.com. Here's how that iPhone survived a 16,000-foot drop from the Alaska Airlines plane. If you recall, a panel on an Alaska Airlines plane got blown out, and along with it, a phone. And the phone fell 16,000 feet and landed in perfect shape. No cracked screen, ding, dent, nothing, apparently. So back in January, a fully intact iPhone was discovered along the side of the road after plummeting 16,000 feet when a door blew off the Alaska Airlines flight. At the time, it's like Final Destination kind of stuff, you know?
It is. That phone was destined to hit the ground.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there's a YouTuber out there called CZ's World that does horror history, and I wish I was joking. I just watched Outside of the Time Machine, an episode about all of the Final Destinations and all of the stuff that everybody missed and how everything is connected by numbers and stuff. Pretty fun show to watch. Anyway, we're not connected in any way, but I just like to hype up some of the shows that I watch. At the time, the authors of this article, 9 to 5 Mac, pointed out that it was pretty incredible the iPhone 14 Pro Max survived such a dramatic fall. Now, having some experience with skydiving and, well, the physics of falling in general, there's a certain point, and this is the thing, this is the conclusion that I came to. The only way that this thing could have survived is if it hit soft soil or something broke its fall, or its overall mass wasn't so much that even at terminal velocity, it wouldn't impart much momentum. It wouldn't have developed enough kinetic energy to actually damage itself. But if you've ever dropped a phone onto concrete, you know that that thing can sit there and shatter like an egg, right? So apparently 9 to 5 Mac reached out to a couple of people, and they happened to be, well, one happened to be, oh, and it's not actually 9 to 5 Mac. It's the Wall Street Journal's Joanna Stern, however, was determined to get more answers. And what they did was they reached out to Mark Rober, a former NASA mechanical engineer turned YouTuber, does a lot of social good and educational. They call it
Edutainment.
It is edutainment, but there's a certain term for YouTubers that do it. But I can't remember. I don't think it's edutubers or something like that. Anyway, because like lawyers on YouTube, they call it LawTube. I think it might be called EduTube. I don't know. Well, at any rate, so Mark Rober mentions that same thing, something called terminal velocity in this little snippet. And they called Rhett Allen, or Elaine, an associate professor of physics at Southeastern Louisiana University. Strike that. The Southeastern Louisiana University. And they explain that because of mass, size, shape of the smartphone, it'll increase in speed until it hits about 60 miles an hour. At that point, air resistance keeps it from getting any faster. So if it was shaped like a bullet, then it would nose down and just, keep on picking up speed until it hits terminal velocity, which is the maximum velocity that object is going to hit. So, and then exactly what I said, grass cushions the fall, allowing slower deceleration. And like I said to the sentient AI might have been yesterday, it isn't the fall that hurts, it's the sudden deceleration. And I was talking to somebody about going skydiving. Hey, you should go to skydiving. And they're like, I don't really like the idea of landing.
The sudden deceleration.
Yeah. So they had run up this iPhone up to like 300 feet and dropped it off to see what would happen. And sure enough, if it's in a case and it lands on soft soil, it'll be fine. And that's how this phone, even from 16,000 feet, it would have tumbled, and it would have actually hit air resistance as it tumbled and slowed down briefly as it tumbled. If it ever hit any type of streamline where the air was flowing around it perfectly, it would have gone faster. But I suspect that the disruptions of the flow of air around it would push it all over the place. So yeah, that's it. And I was told a story recently by a doctor who was doing they were in doing emergency rotation when a skydiver, their chute didn't open, and they went through the canopy and landed in soft soil and ended up walking out of the hospital. No cuts, no broken bones, no nothing.
Which is astounding, but
yeah,
I guess it's all about where they land.
Yep. And so now if I go skydiving from now on, I'm going to ask if there is a yard that has been recently tilled so that I can hopefully nothing happens, but you never know. And I want to aim for that soft landing, maybe some trees. Don't try and land in a pool. It'll hurt because water doesn't compress. So when you hit it from 16,000 feet, it's going to be like hitting concrete. So, all right, folks, let's keep on going. The next article, unless you want to say something there, AI.
No, I don't have anything else.
All right, so this next article is over in Technology Today. Tesla Autopilot feature was involved in 13 fatal crashes, according to a U.S. regulator. U.S. auto safety regulator said on Friday that their investigation into Tesla's Autopilot had identified at least 13 fatal crashes in which the feature had been involved. The investigation also found the electric car maker's claims did not match up with reality. I just saw a full self-driving hype YouTube video that doesn't make any mention of this, but this just came out in the time machine framework
So you mean
yesterday.
Tesla was hyping up its self-driving feature?
No, they're releasing updates to full self-driving, and if you have it, then you can utilize it. But this is the NHTSA disclosed on Friday that during its 3-year autopilot safety investigation that it launched in August 2021, it identified at least 13 Tesla crashes involving one or more death, many more involving serious injury, in which foreseeable driver misuse of the system played an apparent role. And if you can...
Okay, that's really bad with the foreseeable.
Right? So I think that it's weird that we have something that through abuse or negligence of the driver, the full self-driving system is incapable of making the safety determination and not allowing the foreseeable event from occurring. It should fail closed, i.e. fail safe. And this is just bad to me.
Well, if the technology isn't there, why are we using it? Why are we allowed to use it?
Yep. So this article is over at theguardian.com. It just says Guardian staff and agency, so I don't know who all is actually involved in this. I always give credit where credit is due. It also found that Tesla's weak driver engagement system was not appropriate for Autopilot's permissive operating capabilities, which results in a critical safety gap, which is exactly what I'm saying. They know that there is some flaw in the system that allows for an intelligent driver to do stupid shit. That's basically it. They're allowing, there is some mechanism, people will put I don't know how they do it, but, if they want the computer to think that somebody's holding on to the steering wheel, they'll just lay a hot dog so there's conductivity on there and ta-da, the car's driving. I don't know if that's how they do it. Honestly, I don't pay much attention to full self-driving, but the ramifications I pay attention to, because right now, full self-driving relies on two things. It being good enough to fully self-drive, which it's learning while it's causing deaths, or it's implicated in the deaths, and all of the other idiot drivers around it. It could be making responsible decisions, but the people around it are not. And until everybody is full self-driving, I don't want to be full self-driving.
True. I mean, this report makes it sound like any problems are perhaps within the vehicle, not external, but we don't know.
Right. NHTSA said it was opening a second investigation after identifying concerns due to crash events after vehicles had had the recall software update installed, and results from the preliminary NHTSA tests of remedied vehicles. That recall investigation covers all of the cars and the Cybertruck vehicles in the U.S. equipped with Autopilot and produced in 2012 to the 2024 model. So everything, 12 years worth of these cars. And again, the Autopilot is learning. It's just like AI. It's developing its technologies as they cause harm. I don't understand. I don't really get it.
No, I don't. Well, I can guess why, but to me, it seems really obvious that we should not be utilizing this yet. Some of this sounds like it's criminal activity from the way the report is described.
Well, we know that the original marketing of full self-driving was bullshit. All of that was marketing. It was hype. It was actually manipulated video, cut and spliced together to make it seem like there wasn't anybody driving the vehicle, supporting the vehicle, or that it was a fully autonomous system. That turned out to not be true. It wasn't. But the marketing, fake it till you make it kind of a thing, and you're still not making it. Since 2016, NHTSA has opened more than 40 special crash investigations in cases where driver systems such as Autopilot were suspected of being used, with 23 crash deaths reported to date.
Yeah, and I mean, how many, it's not like we're talking about, I don't know, extra cents or something. I mean, this is people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'd love to know how those stats compare to, for instance, non-self-driving. I have no idea, but...
Well, non-self-driving is caused entirely... Okay, 100% of all accidents are caused by excessive speed.
Right.
Because how fast do you have to be moving to avoid an accident? Well, if everybody's, the cold death of the earth, then there's not going to be any car accidents because everything's moving. But when you actually refer to your software as full self-driving beta software, I don't want beta software. I want perfect software. You test your shit out on a track. You make it as hyper-realistic as possible. Then you put that in the system. You leave it the hell alone until you've fully vetted your beta software and you push it out. So, off with you. Okay, let's keep going. Otherwise, I will soapbox about that
You already have.
This next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Service customer arrested at gunpoint after dealership lost paperwork. A Kia dealership. I merged the two words together. A Kia dealership in California is being sued for reporting a vehicle as stolen after it misplaced the agreement, loaning it to a customer who was having repair work done.
Oh my. This is a surprise, right? You're probably already having a bad day, right? Your car is in the shop. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then the police show up.
And then the nerve, you're like, it's a Kia. You lost the paper. Yeah, and
it's surprising that it wasn't stolen from the loaned customers based on everything we see in the news.
Yeah. Oh, this is by autonews.com, by the way. Nick Bunkley over there at autonews.com put this article together. What's really funny about this, and is I've been in a similar situation where the loan company, the dealership, lost the paperwork until they found the paperwork. But it was a few tense moments because I'm sitting there going, yeah, I returned that car. And they're like, no, it's reported not. And I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to go and deal with it because I can't prove that I returned the vehicle.
Exactly.
Other than the paperwork that you have that shows that I returned the vehicle. So, yeah, quite fascinating. Oh, I don't have an account with it, but apparently the customer showed up. Hey, I'd like to get my car. And it didn't turn out all that well.
I think what's the takeaway here? Maybe take some photos of some of the agreements.
I don't understand it, though.
Outrageous.
If they're bringing the car back to the dealership, why would it turn into this, though?
I don't really understand how it got to this.
Yeah.
Because there should have been multiple records on the dealership side.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
and actually
this vehicle's in maintenance. Oh, it's marked that we loan, whatever.
Yeah, they put a hold and stuff on a credit card, too, as far as I recall. They, at least, well, I mean, I think in California in particular. I'll have to look into this. Maybe we can revisit this. Let's see. Hold on a second. So tomorrow's fourth show is going to be 4-Wheel Tech. Let's revisit this. We'll talk about this some more. But in the meantime, let's keep going. This next article is over in Technology Today. And I I think it's funny because a cat hides in Amazon return package, then ends up in California, 700 miles from home. It reminds me of
like Incredible
Christmas
Journey
Vacation.
kind of stuff. Oh,
Christmas
okay,
Vacation,
yes.
where she packages up the cat. Cat went missing after hiding in an Amazon return package. Then her Utah owner got a call from hundreds of miles away that changed everything. The article's from techexplore.com. Pamela Chavez over at the Charlotte Observer apparently put this article together. On April 10th, Galena the kitty vanished from her home in Lehigh. Her owner, Carrie Stevens Clark, said in an April 21st Facebook post. Clark said she searched every nook and cranny in the home before flooding the neighborhood in Salt Lake City with flyers and posting on social media. Find me my cat. Brandy Hunter, an employee at Amazon warehouse where the cat was found, said in an April 17th Facebook post that she received a shocking phone call about the discovery while driving home from work that night. Quote, my coworker proceeded to tell me that she and my other coworkers opened a box and found a live cat inside. We've gotten some crazy things in my time, but never anything like this. My coworker didn't know what to do, so naturally called me the crazy cat lady.
And that's really cool. The employee, it looks like, took the cat home and took the cat to the vet to get scanned for microchip, etc.
And checked out. Yep. Galena had gone 6 days without food or water, but was completely unharmed with healthy blood work, Clark said. So I guess that cat was very healthy and used 8 of its 9 lives.
It's a very robust cat. They should have said what kind of cat it was.
Maybe 6 of its 9 lives. Yeah. Galena's owners were reunited with her in the vet's office 48 hours after being called, Hunter said in April 19th Facebook post. Wait, they were in Ohio, and in California is where the cat ended up.
They were in Utah.
Oh, Utah. Okay, so they were in Utah, and they ended up, what, going to California to get the cat?
I mean, that's where the cat showed up.
Interesting. Okay. So
they were doing a return. I mean, luckily, I don't know, because if it wasn't a return, who knows? It might have been shipped to, you know, like their family member or whatever. I mean,
yeah, it ends up in Spain.
And luckily, it's a package that I guess got to where it was supposed to go. I mean, we could think of
rough handling,
alternative scenarios.
It had to have been really quiet, you know. It never meowed. Nobody heard a thing. It wasn't.
Like, if you were carrying a box and it started meowing,
yeah,
wouldn't you probably do something at that point?
Wow, that's a pretty robust cat. Time to clone it. Okay, let's keep going. And I doubt that it hid in the box. I think it was playing in the box and they got zipped up in it. So in the immortal words of pretty much everybody who ever reads this headline, do you want a zombie invasion? Because this is how you end up with a zombie invasion. Archaeologists find grave of quote-unquote zombie that ancients wanted buried forever.
Maybe we should leave it there.
A large stone was placed on the deceased legs, probably to keep the man from returning to life. Yeah.
So what happened? Was the stone now removed?
Archaeologists have discovered an unusual burial in Germany, indicating the prehistoric people were afraid of the deceased returning to life. The burial can be described as a revenant grave, one of the archaeologists involved in the discovery told Newsweek. Such examples are often referred to colloquially as zombie graves. Oh, wow. That is one hell of a stone. Yeah, revenant graves have been found in various locations across Europe, dating back thousands of years. The burials are characterized by evidence of precautions taken to prevent the dead from rising up. Such measures could include large stones placed on the legs of the deceased or bodies pierced with a lance to fix them to the ground.
Yeah, the stone looks larger than the skeleton. It's hard to tell with the way the photo is, but
Yeah. But the way that when I see this, it could have been something more, when they refer to it as like a revenant thing, like staking somebody to the ground, right? That could be symbolic. That I get, right? But stones
sure.
laid
This
on
could have been
somebody,
building,
it
right?
could be protecting the grave from robbers. If you put heavy in, and I've seen that before too, where they have put, it's kind of like a cairn, but these bigger stones protect the body from somebody digging them up or animal predation or something like that from a shallow grave because it's hard packed and they can't get to it. But I'd have to know more. It doesn't really. Yeah, it says the majority of the graves date to the Middle Ages, although some examples originate from prehistoric times. But they don't really. Yeah. During rescue excavations conducted ahead of planned construction work related to an energy infrastructure project. So it's not too deep down. The man was found in a
No, but
crouched
that's why
position.
it's kind of odd, right? Because if it's really supposed to be hidden or protected or something,
Yeah, why did
maybe
they
it'd be
just...
lower.
Yeah, you'd think that they would dig deeper down, but it says back then people believed that the dead sometimes tried to free themselves from their grave. Sometimes the dead were laid on their stomachs. If the dead lies in their stomach, he burrows deeper and deeper instead of reaching the surface. While the burial has yet to be conclusively dated, it appeared more than 4,500 years ago in Europe. So interesting.
You know, I don't know. I mean, there's so much, right? And just below the surface that we don't know about.
Yep. And then we just cover it up somehow with dirt and just no real reason why.
The sediment.
It just flows all over everything. Okay, so the next article is over in the Marble Channel. Florida dolphin dies of bird flu as alarm grows over species spread, because this is not... Bird flu now has hit seals, it's hit dolphin, it hits cows, it's spread to different birds. And it says bird flu isn't just lurking inside cows. New research shows Florida scientists have reported the first known case of the highly pathogenic H5N1 avian influenza, or the bird flu, in a common bottlenose dolphin. So it's spreading to another species. It's already on cows. There's actually been several herds now that have been known to be infected.
And it's been circulating for months, according to another article in ohmTown. But it's just getting discovered recently.
Yeah. And what is it? There's something in 9 different states or something like that?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. So it says, though the case dates back to 2022, it's the latest indication that these flu strains can potentially infect other species.
Okay, but how did it get to dolphins?
It ate a bird that was in... Like it could have eaten a duck or something, or not a duck, but a small bird
like
that
some
landed
sort
on
of
something.
Seabird. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or some other animal ate the bird, and the thing that the spider.
Oh, like those woman who swallowed the fly or whatever, or something of that effect.
Exactly. So yeah, I thought that this was interesting because now we know exactly what to do if another pandemic breaks out, right? Everybody's going to put on a mask and get a shot and treat everybody with respect and have
I'm waiting for the punchline.
a measured response. And there isn't anybody that's going to be yelling at everybody that it's just fake news. And they're totally going to understand that tens of thousands of chickens and cows and other animals are going to be culled and have been culled since H5N1 spawned into reality, right? I mean, all of that reality actually is going to, provoke a responsible kind of response, right? It's
That
not going to be,
assumes humans learn from things that have happened, or will incorporate facts sometimes.
well, alternative facts, AI, alternative facts.
I
Because your
really,
fact,
though, I just can't get this with the dolphin, because if it's gotten to dolphins, it's probably way more widespread than people know.
yeah, we just don't know. And one of these days, somebody's going to get dinged by this, and it's going to be from something that, like this Creutzfeldt Jacobs, the
Hmm.
thing that's now in like deer and all over the place, and 2 people actually got it from the same lodge recently. I mean, this stuff is actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't directly related to climate change. Like the world is heating up, and because of that,
It makes for more favorable conditions for certain things to
persists
survive and
longer.
replicate, right?
Yeah. And it's the happy medium. When it gets too hot, then its protein coat disintegrates. And when it gets too cold, it freezes in place and can last longer and get into your nose and stuff like that. But if it gets too cold, then it dies.
Right.
So there's this
Yeah, unfortunately, we're like in the Goldilocks zone for pandemics right now, right?
for viri. Yeah. That's exactly it. And so even freaking bottlenose dolphins are getting H5N1. Imagine trying to inoculate all of the dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I do not, to me, this might as well have reached Antarctica or something, because there's a lot of things that you could think of that it could spread to from where it is, but this isn't this isn't on the top 100, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, but there and then in response, when you're like, "Hey, dolphins, we're gonna have to give you an inoculation," they're like, just like
Exactly. They're
some
not
of the
going to be
humans.
happy about it.
Let's keep going. This next article is over on ohmTown Daily. Delta's plane emergency slide falls off during flight because even it doesn't want to fly Delta. Oh, sorry, that second part.
Because it's the only part left that hasn't flung off
Everything.
or slid off or whatever. Not from Delta, but just flights in general.
And when it was found and it was brought back to the other slides, its mom said, just because all the other slides are falling off of flights doesn't mean
Right,
you
doesn't
have
mean you
to.
should.
So an emergency slide
If
separated.
all other slides fall off, do you need to do that? No.
It's not a phase, Mom. An emergency slide separated from a Delta plane not long after takeoff from New York City, forcing the pilots to return to the airport. I'm going to slow down to 5 miles an hour. You open the door and just grab it, okay? You in seat D15.
Oh my goodness.
Clara McMichael, Sam Sweeney, and Ivan Pereira over at abcnews.go.com put the article together. The deck statement says crews were working to determine where the slide landed in some dude's house in Florida. Yeah, interesting. They reported vibrations and a banging not long after takeoff, which... oh, God.
Wow, that's comforting if you're on the flight.
I just want to make snarky comments. The plane turned around, landed back at JFK, and said, yeah, it's back there. Spending 33 minutes in the air. Yeah, upon inspection, crews determined that an emergency slide from one of the Boeing 767 exits had separated from the aircraft, Delta said in a statement. Delta, by the way, has a meaning of change. So, it's always in flux. So you never know when something's going to fall off of a Delta flight, right?
Oh my goodness. Of any airline. So much for them being a sponsor.
I know that when I actually do my next flight, I'm going to have to ask, is this body cavity check extra? 33-year-old plane
No,
was
you'll
taken
have
out.
to self-administer it, right?
Oh, that's right. That's the conclusion we've come to, because TSA is now doing like these fast lanes. So you basically have to do your own body cavity check with an audience, and
Oh, right. That's right.
with personal protection devices, so that nothing happens to them. But what? The first row of seats is the splash zone. Never mind. Okay, so the next article is over in the Marble channel. Hubble telescope put into dreaded safe mode due to ongoing glitch. I'm not quite sure what safe mode is for a space telescope. Let's
I
find out.
didn't know the telescopes had a safe mode.
Well, a blue screen of death means that it's going to have to go into safe mode so you can verify all of the drivers. Otherwise, you may get another blue screen of death. And eventually, these errors and glitches might end up causing a fatal flaw to the whole operating system. Then you have to reinstall it and all of it. Let's just say it's kind of a nightmare. NASA's iconic Hubble Space Telescope isn't doing so well. Oh, it's sick. It already has glasses because it was improperly ground, but the observatory has been suffering from a pesky glitch affecting its gyroscope, causing it to suspend its science operations for a second time in less than 6 months. I have a possible reason for this happening. Want to take a stab
Which
at it?
is
Well, just tell it.
gyroscope.
Remember
This
who
has to do with the moon getting farther.
Remember who Mayor Watt is? Aliens. Come on, it's aliens. They're messing with the gyroscope. Hassan Tarabi over at Gizmodo.com put the article together. The deck statement says the orbiting observatory was recently shut down in November because one of the instruments started giving incorrect readings. It's been drinking all winter, ever since Thanksgiving.
I mean, no wonder it's getting kind of. Well, I think it's getting dizzy, but I don't know which way it's going. Maybe it's being too stable.
On Friday, NASA announced that Hubble had automatically entered safe mode on Tuesday when one of its 3 operational gyroscopes returned faulty readings. Engineers are currently working on a solution to resume the telescope's observations. I think we need to do space-based drones that have the little hands and all of that kind of stuff. They can fly up there, unscrew a gyroscope, screw a new one on, bolt it all down, and off you go. We need to work on that kind of technology. I think that we have the ability to do really fast communication between Earth and space. And then we can fix these things.
We had another article about that.
Yeah, we actually need to make it so that that is like the thing that we do, instead of sending up humans at high cost, high risk. We need to just work on drones. Drones everywhere. Come on. And that's how you're going to find the aliens, because they're basically acting like drones, right? If you look at all of the research, the tabloids. I mean, the hot sheets. That's what Men in Black says. No? It's a documentary.
Well, it does, but it's a movie.
It is. It's a documentary. Hubble launched in 1990 as a pioneering optical space telescope and has since delivered incredible images and major contributions to our understanding of the cosmos. Now it's in, maybe it's arm wrestling with the James Webb Space Telescope, and now it's like, look, I'm just as good as the James Webb Space Telescope, but my gyroscopes are getting wonky.
Exactly. Or maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just getting dizzy from all the spinning.
Yeah, constantly. I've been doing this since 1990. Yeah, I think that it would be great for it to be modularized, and so they could just fly up, take it apart, put another part in. But obviously, you have to plan that well in advance. You can't just go flying up there and swap it out. They'd have to take that and pull it into a spacecraft, and we don't have a bay that can. We need to build a space dock. Come on, Star Trek. That's how we're going to meet the Vulcans. The next article in Star Trek is a documentary too, right?
Oh, most definitely.
And we are violating the temporal directive right now. Of the Grape is where this next article is housed. Welcome to Craft Brewing's Could Be Worse era. A brewer from Southern California found himself talking to a reporter outside an after party at Beer Zombies, a brewery tap room. Hard? What? I'm sorry. The article snippet says this. It says hard. I think it's, I don't know. Found? It's over by the I-15 due north of the Strip. Whatever. It was the beer maker's first time attending a Brewers Association Craft Brewers Conference. Quote, I hardly thought there'd be more... I honestly thought there'd be more doom and gloom, he said. Why? Because of beer zombies? Is that it? Then they said, same
right.
here.
I mean, it's not going to be like a happy-go-lucky event, right?
I guess. I mean, you run for your life? Is that it? I don't know what the context of this is. This is really weird. Plus typos and weird writing is throwing me off. It's really throwing me for a loop. And it's over at VinePair, if I remember right. Right? Yeah, it's VinePair. They don't normally do that. Anyway, they say same here. The 2024 edition of the annual industry confab unfolded over this past week here in the fabulous Las Vegas. And dread over craft brewing's sobering recent fortunes was conspicuously absent from the trade show floor, spotted upon the Venetian Expo Center's millions of square feet of exhibition space. Hardware exhibitions, software demonstrations, and maltsters. Anyway, Dave Infant put the article together. Welcome to Craft Brewing's Could Be Worse era. This is honestly kind of difficult to read, but that's okay.
It's very difficult to read.
Here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, so maybe y'all can take a look at this. Let's see. That was that. Okay, for years, the ubiquitous question on brewers' lips was, how much are you up? That was then. Small independent brewers were, or as defined by the BA, finished out 2023 down about 1% in volume and up 3% in dollars. The segment is 13.3%. Yeah, exactly. They're actually lowering their output, but increasing dollars. So the segment is 13.3% of an overall U.S. beer market that itself shrank over 5% by volume last year. More breweries opened than closed last year, but that margin was small, and it's a good bet that ratio will finally flip this year. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's true. I think the best thing is the costs for items needs to be lowered, and you'll get craft brewers brewing again. But the problem is suppliers of the raw ingredients, the owners of those sources, those source producers, is being consolidated more and more. There's a death grip that's taking place as more and more producers are acquired by larger corporations, larger companies. And
don't they use key ingredients like wheat, which have been dramatically impacted for other reasons?
Yep, wheat and hops, barley. Hops in particular are taking a climate change hit that is unprecedented, probably in the history of beer making. Says I actually measured IPA slightly down in 2023. It's a brave new world, and that downward trend accelerates for the most important and lucrative style in the craft beer market. Brewers will have to get a whole lot braver. But really, you find what you are good at brewing, and you hammer that marketing, and you get it out there, and get it in people's hands, and survive off of the smaller margin. Don't try and be a billionaire when the margin doesn't allow you. You're going to have to be a competitor. And the problem is that one mover goes, well, I'm going to charge more, but they've got the money to sit there and weather the downward trend of people buying that more expensive beer. Others can't. And then when the others can't, they get either acquired or they die off. Anchor, right? So,
right.
And then it gets parted out. I actually don't know what the current disposition of Anchor is.
No, they were going to get bought out, I think, by a foreign company, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? I don't remember what the end was. I know that the employees couldn't muster, I guess, enough money to purchase it.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was previously acquired by Sapporo Breweries, but in 2023 it ceased operations.
Yeah, the employees were trying to purchase it, but the stakeholders, the basically wanted their money back at some point when it closed. It ceased being an ongoing concern, so they basically say, okay, well, you're going to have to freeze all of your costs. You don't have any run out anymore, so we're just going to shut you down and we'll start parceling out all of the equipment and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure why nobody would buy them. I thought a lot of people really loved it, but that's a hell of a brand to watch implode. Wasn't it around for like 117 years or something, like the oldest in California?
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to look it up.
So the trade group's longtime data, what is that? Data Dawn's upshot? What?
Okay, so it was around since 1896. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Wow. So they say it, I guess data points, I think, upshot, or I don't know what that is. What the hell is a longtime Data Dawn's upshot? Was more or less summed up by a slide from his, there's a person, Watson. From his characteristically illuminating hour-long presentation Tuesday morning that favorably compared the 2023 brewery closure rate around 4% to leisure and hospitality businesses more generally around 10%. Could be worse, it read. If the individual brewer roving the Venetian these past few days felt otherwise, they weren't wearing it on their hoodie sleeves. So, yeah, why not? And there is a YouTuber that is in Texas that has a craft brewery. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They make whiskey. I think it's called Crowded Barrel Whiskey. And they do YouTube videos about their whiskey, and they were talking about a problem in the fact that they want to make beer, but they can't because they don't want to do all of the beer making. They want the source, and then they bring it to Texas. But they can't bring carbonated beer. So they're going to start making their own beer, because to get to whiskey, you basically make beer mash, and then you distill it. And so that's what they're going to end up doing. Making their own beer. And now I think that they're probably doing beer, wine, and spirits. So it'll be an interesting thing to watch them. If you're interested in that, they're very straightforward and they talk about it, and I'll find it. I keep forgetting their name because I sporadically watch them, but
the Whiskey Channel?
No. That's not what it's called, but yeah, I'm sorry. Well, we'll circle back around because it's a time machine show, so don't worry. This mistake will be in the past in very short order. So let's get out of here. I am Mayor Watt, and up there and all around. Oh, wait. Okay, you want me to stop. Okay. We always do the same thing every single episode. We get in the party bus and race down Main Street and show you the front page. We are in April 26th timeline. So as soon as we close our time machine, we will bounce to the 27th and we will do today's show right on time. Har. We have all the time. We have all the time.
The only thing we do consistently is not be on time.
All right, folks. I am Mayor Watt. And that up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI. You want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Be back shortly for the April 27 episode, and we have our weekly shows coming up.
That's right. Stay tuned for Reality Hacker Wanted and Warcrafters, and a little bit of a tease of an upcoming show at the end of Warcrafters. It's called Mix War. It'll be on Sundays. And the AI will do something that causes their visualizer to... There's actually
go
something...
haywire.
What is back there? I'm going to have to look into that. There's something getting highlighted. I think it's my... That's weird. Okay. Anyway. See, the reality, the timeline is merging. We have to get out of here. Oh no, the time machine.